Hi, and thanks for joining me. My name is Royal. What an amazing trading day we had again today. Multiple stocks were up over 100%. MOVE was the leading gainer. You can see where I ended up on MOVE today, up $1,256.38. And down in my trading monitor window, you can see the entries and exits that I took. The full live trading session is part of this video, and it is sped up just to make the viewing a little bit quicker for you. But in summary, this stock, MOVE, popped up right here in the pre-market. That'd be at 8:40 Eastern. And I didn't take that move. I was watching to see if we'd get the pullback. I ended up taking my first position at 8:46 Eastern, which was right here on the break of this high. I was looking to take my first position. I got in, as you can see, at 1845, 1893. I then sold at 1895, 19, and 1887. So small winner there. It ended up being about $250. Then at 855, I bought back in at 1905. So if we fast forward to 855, that was right here. And I bought in at 1905 looking for this break up. And I thought we would get this acceleration up through high of pre-market high. We did not. I ended up taking half off at 1959 and the other half at 1914. So added a little bit more there. I then tried this again at 16 Eastern, which is right over in this area. So at 9:16, I bought at 1916 and then added at 1992. So I'll show you that. So at 1916, that's right here. I bought at 1916. This was holding 19. I put in a limit order. I was looking at this pivot. I'll zoom this in just a little bit more here. What I was looking at was this pivot low at 19. And when these bottoms came along and we were holding that, I put in a limit order at 1916. We were strong bear and MACD was closed, but I'm thinking, okay, if I can get something right down around 19 with maybe an 1895 stop loss, then I'll limit my risk. It was just 200 shares. So I took a 200 share starter there at 1916. I added 500 shares at 1992, which boosted my cost basis quite a bit. And then I sold at 2010 and 2008. So then at 921, I was watching this again, which was right up here. And I took this as a first candle to make a new high, looking for the push again at that point up through pre-market high. We had just put in the new pre-market high. I thought if this gets enough acceleration, we could get a really nice squeeze as we go into the market open. So I bought there at 2060, and you can see I sold at 2071 the next candle. The reason for that is when we got up to 2087 and then pulled back this next candle, I felt like we were extended. I do recognize we were strong bull on the TTM, but it just did not move the way I would have expected for an approach through the pre-market high at that time. So I took that off and then I waited. So 923 hits, which is this candle here, and I took an attempt on the 923 candle at 1989. Ended up selling that for a small loss at 1942. Again, that was only 200 shares. And then we started to get into the really nice part of the moves. That was subsequently a purchase at 1981. So on the 926 candle, right over here, I ended up taking this position at 1981. So I bought there at 1981. I accidentally put in a sell order at 2040. Fortunately, the stock was trading down at about 2020, and so that did not fill. I then subsequently added at 2040. That's what I was trying to do initially. So I added at 2040 on the 928 candle. So I added right up there near the top. We got a little consolidation, and then we got this really nice move at the market open. You can see my exits here on the trading monitor. I'll scroll this down just a little. So on the trading monitor, I then took exits at 2169, 2223, 2199, 2230, and that was all within the first 3 minutes of the market open. So on these candles here, 2169, 2223, right up here, and then 2230 on the 933 candle. So the 933 candle was right here, and I was out at 2230. So we got this really nice push to 2350, and then when this topping tail came in, I put a limit order in there just looking to take some more off the table. And then I assumed break even on my final shares. I had 85 shares left at that point. I was assuming break even at 2040. And when this pulled back really hard on this red candle, I took that exit, locked in just a little bit more at 2081. So overall, a phenomenal trading day for me today. I ended up $1,256.38. Again, by way of recap, if we take a look at my January, that puts me up just over $17,000 for my January. Again, this is a simulator that I'm trading in for practice. I would strongly encourage that. When we take and the 1250 posts through the automated system here that tracks in the simulator, that 1250 plus the 3950 on the current week puts me at 5200 on the week, which is great for a shorter trading week. When I add 5200, I would add the 1250 up here. That puts me at about 17,600 for the month of January with just one more week to go. So the market's been really, really hot. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well if you're trading in a simulator or if you're trading live. I'm really trying to focus on taking these opportunities with the 21 EMA holding, looking to add as the stock proves me right. I'm not adding if it proves me wrong. And then I am looking to hold as long as I've got some green candles until I see these really big tops coming in or really big candles. Then I want to be exiting. Or if we lose the 8 EMA, then I'm going to soon break even on the rest of my position. So again, hope you're doing well. Hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the full live trading recap that's immediately following this, and wish you all the very, very best.
Good morning. So I'm watching MOVE here. I haven't taken a position on this yet. Got a really nice move up through the VWAP. And what I was looking for is this to get a little closer back into the AEMA and then push. Looks like it's going to take its push higher here anyway. And that's fine. I'm just sitting tight. Ideally, this big move upwards would have been probably a really good entry. But with the exponential moving averages kind of upside down out of order here, that's not a move that I would normally take. What I would be looking for is this to consolidate back down into the ADMA, kind of get a touchdown there possibly, and then look for a potential move higher. So at this point, I'm just sitting on the sideline watching what this does. If we can line out, get these exponential moving averages stacked out the way that I normally like to see them, which is in this upward trend motion. So here's a good example. Kind of similar pattern, right? We popped up, pulled back below the EMA, then we got this nice push up, similar to this, nice push up through the EMA. Now, if we pull back down, then as we come up through, I'm kind of looking for this type of setup where we get right back into the 8 EMA, and then this first 1 minute candle to make a new high there, and then there's the second pullback. So those two are good opportunities. So that's what I'm watching for now to see if this will do similarly. So we've got the push up off the EMA. Now I'm looking to see if this will come back up through the VWAP, up through the VWAP. Now I'm looking to see if this will come back and then give us an opportunity for a move higher with these moving averages ending up, more similar to this, where they're kind of open, and then you get this push higher from there. So that's what I'm going to watch for on this pattern here. See if we get something like that before I'm really looking to take an entry. Looks like the market continues to be in a good spot. We've got MOVE, which is up 158% right now. It is the leading low float top gainer. DRCT up 124%. That's the second. So those are the two that I'm mainly focused on as they're the first and second leading gainers. So since that came back into the ADMA, I'm going to take a starter right there. So that was 840. I'm in at 845. Let's see if we can get a push up higher through 19 now. I'm going to add there, looking for that break of 19. So I'm in at 1893. My average cost now is 1869. We're going to see if we can keep getting this press higher here up through 19. So there's 19, a little bit of selling there. There we go, 1915. I've got 1,000 shares. That's plenty size for me on a $19 stock. So I'm not looking to size up by any means because I'm working to honor, the account size I would be trading as a pattern day trading account in my live money account. So I'm not going to, assume that I'm going to take 2,000 or 3,000 shares on a stock at this price. That would be too aggressive. I'm going to take half off there since we dropped back below 19. Now you can see my average cost 1893, and we're right there around 19. So I took half off on the ask, which was 1895. There's a nice move. 1925. Let's see if we can push up to 20 here. 1950 be the next target. Sorry, on the half dollar. So there's 1902. I'm going to take the rest off there. There's a 10,000 share seller that just showed up there right at 19. Oh, sorry, I took another half off. Average cost still 1893. I'm going to get out the rest there. So when that 10,000 share seller showed up there, that especially with me being in a little higher, my average cost with that add on was 1893. I'm going to just play that more cautious. And now we've got a little bit of a doji candle. I'll show you that right here. This candle is this doji, or like an indecision candle, where essentially the body of the candle is really small, and you've got a tail on the top and a tail on the bottom. So that can sometimes indicate indecision. And now you can see we're pulling back a little more. What I like about this setup is that our EMAs are now they're now the way we want them to be. They're lined out. The 8's on top of the 21, on top of the 34, on top of the 55. And so similar to this pattern back here where we popped up above, if I'm counting this move right now as the pop up above here. So then if we will pull back down towards VWAP again, and then we look like we're going to kind of hold and come back up through, then I'm really going to get interested again because I'm going to assume that we've got short sellers up here at 19 as we saw that 10,000 share seller come in. I'm going to assume that we've got some short sellers up here around 19. So if we come back into the 17, the low 17s, maintain strength around the VWAP, come back up through, then I'm going to assume that we've got an opportunity to get a little bit of a short squeeze back up through 19 and then ideally 20, similar to what this did back here, which would have been at 6:30 Eastern. So similar to this setup is what I'm looking to see if this will do, which would also give us an indication likely of a clean 5-minute pattern for an opportunity. So interesting to kind of watch there. We'll see what this does. I want to keep this on my radar. Also keeping an eye on DRCT here. So I've got both of these stocks here on my chart set up, and I'm going to just watch them and see where we go. But really nice. Let me flip back to the bigger chart. So really nice mid compression squeeze. These red dots, then firing strong bull higher. Like I said, this candle happened really fast, and so then I was looking for this to get back into the EMA, which it did, and we got just a quick little move. So small base hit, $250 is what I ended up on that one, so there's 252. And then now I want to look and see, will we end up holding, will we possibly hold the 21 EMA, or will we get the dip back down to VWAP, like over here, and then this push back up above? So that's what I'll watch for now. Over here on DRCT, looks like we could have some descending resistance kind of right there. But again, the exponential moving averages, or EMAs, are upside down on this right now, so not as interesting of a setup as this one with these exponential moving averages more lined out. I am watching the 5-minute chart on MOVE, so I'm going to switch fully to MOVE and come back here since this chart pattern or chart setup looks more favorable right now. And really nice buying volume, meaning 2 large green volume bars on the 5-minute, which would have been encompassed this 10-minute move right here. And now the current 5-minute candle is red, and it's much lighter selling volume. So that's a good sign as well, just that there's not as much selling as there was impulse to buy. So we'll keep an eye on this here. Looks like we've held this support down around 18, 1783. The 21 EMA is at 1775. A nice push up there. I'm going to wait, and this may make its move right now, but I'm going to wait. I'd like to see this 8 and this 21 come a little closer together, but we may not get that. There's 1850. We'd be a little early on this 5-minute setup if this goes here, which it may with that strength on that candle. We still haven't broken the previous 5-minute candle's high, which is up here at 1945. And my preference would be is that we not break right here. My preference would be is this actually pulls back and consolidates a little more, and then we make this big move up, because that would be a little bit more attractive 5-minute setup than if it goes right now. It's nice to have a little bit of pullback consolidation in these setups just to give plenty of opportunity for traders to see the setup and then take, if you have 5-minute traders that are watching to trade on the 5-minute chart, then they can take that first 5-minute candle to make a new high, and you get that additional buying support and then hopefully some short covering. So we'll see. I'd like to see this, pull back into the 18s again, and then possibly line itself out here. So I'm just sitting and watching here. Dip down and then a really big push up. So that was down to 1850. That 5-minute candle just ended. So the high of the prior 5-minute candle now is 1919. So that will start to look interesting on a break above 1919. I'm going to take an entry there. So I got in 1905, looking for that break above 1919. We'll see what this does here. If we can get some legs up with this being the first 5-minute candle to make a new high, we would need to really break back. We've done that by hitting 1919. We now want to see that squeeze up through 1950. Getting some hesitation there up in the 1940s. There's 1950. There we go. 1970. Nice. Really nice break up through there. Let's see if we can get some continued momentum here. 1965. I'm going to take half off there again. Just with that hesitancy, I want to see that really rip right to 20, and we didn't. So I'm in still at 1905 average cost. And now I'll sit tight here, and I'll work to hold this last 250 shares and see where this may take us at this point. I can assume break even on these last 250 if I have to, which is going to be right there. well, essentially break even. That was 1914 exit, and I was in at 1905. And again, when we break up through as that first 5 minute candle, I really want to see a lot faster explosive move on that. And, again, I would say if you're back in here towards this pullback to the 21 at 1783, you can give this some more space. Where my average was up at 19, I'm not going to give it a ton of room unless it can rip 20, 20, 50, right? And we start to really get a short squeeze of anybody that shorted up here in the 20s. But if we're going to, pop up to 1975, which is just under 20, and then start to pull, like lose that momentum, I want to be out. And this could continue to still give us an opportunity here. We're just going to watch close. DRCT is starting to move now. I'm going to flip back and look. So we've got a little curl up here, maybe trying to happen with DRCT. I still think MOVE is the better chart pattern right now. So we'll watch both. I've got both level 2s up here. Now, again, I'm trading in a simulator. This is for entertainment purposes only, but I'm trading in a simulator to work on entries and exits, focus on strategy, focus on discipline and consistency, and then build that foundation to transition back over to live money trading. So I'm watching DRCT here as well. We've been in a mid-compression squeeze. This is flipped to strong bull. This is our second leading gainer, currently up 135%. I am still most interested in MOVE. We've got now a little bit of a squeeze, maybe trying to form an MOVE. I'm going to flip back to MOVE on the big screen here. There's 1950. So again, I'd like to probably see this consolidate. I don't know, one more candle back in the 19s would maybe be nice. This current 5 minute candle's about ready to close. It did move slightly higher than the prior 5 minute candle. The prior 5 minute candle's high was 1919. The high of this current candle is 1975 on the 5 minute chart. But these tails up to 1950 don't look amazing. We are, this red dot kind of showing a mid compression squeeze here possibly. Now again, this could still be interesting on a 5 minute setup if it'll wait a little bit here. So we'll watch what this does. I want to show you, let's try to quickly flip over the 5 minute here. What's interesting about this 5 minute setup, again, you can see we've come back up above VWAP, which is the bolded orange here. And then now we're trying to maybe consolidate just a little bit. If we can get that consolidation and not break up through this tail again, then we could be looking at a little bit of a bull flag. But again, we're pushing 1950 there already. There's 1962. This may go regardless. I feel like that's it's a little earlier than I'd like to see it go, but you can see that MACD's opened back up. That's now a push to 20. There's 2026. So it made its move, nice up to 2020. So it did go ahead and go. We've now got 6 5 minute candles in a row that are green. So there's definitely some strength there. I was looking to see maybe one of those 5 minute candles end a little red, like this one right here, and red, and then get that push. More of a bull flag type pattern on the 5 minute. But it's gone ahead and pushed that early, which is fine. I'm okay sitting on the sideline if I don't feel like I can take a lower risk entry on this. I do like that we're right up near the pre-market high, and we could still get a little bit of a bull flag here. We've got time on the 1 minute chart, and we've got time on the 5 minute to create a bull flag before the market open. But this may give us our push. The short's getting squeezed out there. So yeah, there you go, nice push, 19 to 21. And I'm sitting on the sideline here, and I felt like that 5 minute move was a little early. So for me, I want to be taking a lower risk opportunity if I can, and that means being patient to see if there's a clean 5 minute setup. And now I'll still sit tight here, and we could, like I said, we could easily get a clean 5 minute. The RCT actually looks interesting here, like it's kind of trying to line out and pop through 550. I'd have to have about a 530 stop loss for that entry. But it'd be really interesting to see this pop above this. It needs to pop above this descending resistance. You can see how, of course, when this forms, you don't know there's descending resistance yet. But then as that kind of forms, now you've got a little bit of a pattern. These two kind of confirm that. And then now we're in the what would be the fourth attempt to break up through that descending resistance. I'm going to look a little closer at MOVE on the daily as well. So on the daily, we're well above the 200 EMA, which is great. There's a big daily candle at 21.23. So if we go 21.23, there's a big daily resistance right there on the daily. It's a really big topping tail wick from 13.36 all the way up to 21.23. After that, if it can break and hold that, then you've got like 21.30 and then a really big window up to, oh, well, a big window up to 24.30. So 21.30 is kind of the next, 21.23 and 21.30 for a $20 stock are pretty close. So you've kind of got a double resistance there, and then a possible window up to 24.30. So possible window up to, call it 24.30 right there. So still watching MOVE here. Now the 5 minute looks more kind of toward what I'm looking for, where, and you've got almost a little bit of a cup and handle here. So kind of this cup right here, and then maybe this is going to do out a little handle and then a push higher. And this is more similar. This hollow candle right here on the 5 minute it had lighter volume red. So there was selling, and of course the candle closed higher than it opened. So it ended up red, or in this on my chart hollow. But it's lighter volume, and that's a good sign. We're now looking to kind of see, will we get a little consolidation pattern on the 5 minute and kind of a true first 5 minute candle to make a new high after this breakout. We don't want to see this 5 minute pull back too far, but if it comes into the 9 EMA, I've got the 8 right here, which is the yellow, but into this 8 or 9 EMA, then a break higher would look really nice. So that would allow people that are trading that type of pattern on the 5 minute chart to ideally see that and have an opportunity to get in. If you combine that with, the 1 minute chart, you're kind of getting alignment in two different time frames, and that can lead to some really nice moves because you're getting the additional buying pressure and then you're getting short covering occurring. So that's what I'm watching for on the 5 minute right now. There's still 3 minutes left on the current 5 minute candle. I wouldn't want to see this current 5 minute candle take out that high right here at 2045 because I'd be a little bit worried that we would just top up to 21 again and pull back. So I'd like it to see this get a little bit of consolidation and then a move. We'll switch back to the 1 minute here. We zoom in on the 1 minute. Just watching to see what this does here around the 21 EMA. MACD's closed, and we're definitely downtrending on this weak bull histogram. But we could find some support here around 19 and then a push back up. There's 2 minutes left on the current 5 minute candle. I'm going to put an order in at 1945, which is right where the 21 EMA is at. And I'm going to just do a smaller size for this, 200 shares. So I got a 200 share limit order there to see if that'll fill at the 21 EMA. And then I would really need to assume, if we take out this low, it looks like this might fill here. That was 1950. We would need to take out this low of the prior candle at 1924. So I'd be risking 20, well, maybe as much as 30 cents on this. I won't give it a lot of room on 200 shares. And in fact, I'm going to cancel this. I want to just sit. I want to sit and watch. There's a minute left on this current 5 minute candle. I want to see if these two EMAs will get a little closer together. A little drop down. That was, what's that low? 1945. That's right where I had my limit order. The prior candle hit 1945 as well. So almost a little attempt at a double bottom there. Let's just see what this does. We now are getting our first histogram bar, strong bear. And I took a couple strong bear entries during this week, but the price action was above the 8 EMA. You can see how right now our price action is actually below the 21 even. And while I'm interested in maybe this holding a support down here, I'm cognizant of this being strong bear, and that may lead us to a lower move down, especially with MACD closed. So again, there's no guarantee. There are no guarantees. This could always surprise you and just immediately be right back up to 20. But we just closed the 5 minute. Those two prior red 5 minute candles, I'll show you on the 5 minute chart. These two prior 5 minute candles had lighter volume, which means there's less selling pressure on these two. That's a good sign. And now, and obviously way lighter volume than these prior 5 minute candles. So now this could potentially set up to be that 5 minute candle breakout above 1980. So we'll switch back to the 1 minute here. Right now this is trying to base kind of in that 19s. Still watching my histogram now. What would be really attractive is if this histogram stays small and we start to transition back to weak bear, which is the yellow. We start to transition back to weak bear here, then that could look really nice as we maybe get a MACD kind of curl confirmation of a potential move higher. So the lows of those two candles, 1910. The low of this candle is 19. I'm going to take a 200 share starter, see if that limit order fills.
at 1916. We're holding this 1920. So I've got this limit order right here at 1916 to see if that'll fill. And then if we break below 19, I want to be out. Okay, so that filled. So I'm in 200 shares right there. Now I'm going to watch really close here on the level too. If the bid gets down into the low 19s, I'll look to bail, suspecting a possible break of 19. We break 19, I don't want to be in, but I am intrigued. That was a nice push. Let's see where this goes. So that's 1940. Now I'm not adding as much as I'd like to add here. I haven't added because I'm still watching the histogram and I don't want this to kind of be a false breakout. Now the 5-minute candle, 1980 is the high. We went to 1988. So maybe we are going to get this 5-minute setup here or breakout. I'm going to go ahead and add there now since we're getting a little bit more above. Now that's a nice move. There's 2030. I'm in 700 shares. This looks pretty solid. So I haven't added again. My average cost right now is 1970. So I'm conscientious that I had a 200 share starter and added 500. So that brought my cost average up quite a bit. And I'm being mindful of that. So just watching here, see if we can hold 20. I'm going to take a portion off right there. That'll fill. It did. So now my average cost is 1992. So I got a little out there on that pop. I thought we'd maybe get a push right up to 2050. So now on the bid, I'm just slightly under my entry here. Let's see if this holds. Okay, that looks like that might hold 20. There we go. That looks good. Up to 2050 there now. I still have 350 shares. I'm feeling comfortable with that, where we're still MACD closed. So just watching here. There's 2050. Yeah, nice. We might get this squeeze here up through 21. That would be fabulous. A little topping tail coming in right there. Let's see if that gets bought up. Nice move up 2060, 2050 on the bid. I don't see any big sellers yet. Doesn't mean there aren't hidden sellers up there. I'm watching that. There's a 3300. Okay, that got bought up. That was a 3300 share seller there, about 2065. Let's just see if this will push. We're getting that transition now back on the histogram. Still in average cost 1992 here with the add that I did. So still watching. We're a little extended. That was a little bit of a topping tail there. I put in to take half off there again. We'll see if that fills. Although the bid and the ask have now tightened up. Okay, so now we've got a little more pullback here. See if this holds 20. Like I'm really close to 20 on my average entry, so I'm being mindful of not letting this rip down on me hard. There's 2034. I like that has a little bit of a bottoming tail there, kind of getting bought up off of the EMA. We are entering mid-compression squeeze on the TTM, so I'm watching that. MACD's trying to flip over. There was a bigger pullback. There's 20, 20, 20 on the ask. I'm going to take the rest of my exit there at 2008 if that'll fill. There's 2008. Okay, so that did fill. So I got out the rest there at 2008. My average entry was 1992. That came all the way down to like 1985. Now that was a pretty big pop there. And we're still holding the 8, so this may still make its leg up, and I may have been just a little premature. So let's see what this does. 5-minute setup still looks really valid here. There's a nice push. I'm going to add there. So that was at 2060. Let's see if we get a further leg up here, so through 21. My average cost right now, 2060. There's 2080. We can get that push through 21 in a nice short squeeze. MACD's open now. See if we can get a pop up to 21. Not really breaking up to 21 very quickly here. So I took that off there. That was at 2071. So I know that's only 11 cents. I do like the fact that the candles are still green, but we just didn't make that quick move up to 21. Now we're just transitioning strong bull on the TTM. So I recognize that we're still holding the 8. I recognize that we're transitioning strong bull. That's a much smaller histogram. I like all of that. I now feel like we're almost trying to double top around 21, and I don't want to be holding under that 21 level. So there's a deeper pullback. That's a pullback to the 20. May throw in. I threw in a limit order there at 1989 to see if that'll get filled, which would be right near the 21 EMA. And that could be really attractive, especially if that 21 EMA will hold with us transitioning to strong bull. Just did 200 shares. Okay, so that filled. Now I don't want to see much of a deeper pullback below 1960. So if we pop below 1960, I'll be out. Okay, I'm out there. So I gave back about $90 on that. It was at 736. That's 642. So about $96 or $94 that I gave back there, which is fine. That was worth a stab, just 200 shares. I was looking to see if that would hold when we were transitioning to strong bull. Would we hold the 21? I like that possible entry on the 21 that way. And now we're kind of holding and popping back up. So definitely a little bit of erratic moves here. I would have been looking for either of these two candles to pop us up through 21 and get that short covering. DRCT had pulled all the way back and is now kind of coming back up. So now this one's a little bit more on my radar, but my EMAs are still not lined out. So I'm going to ignore that one for now. Flip back to MOVE. So you can see we got this smaller histogram here, which is really what I was looking for as a possible, and it did work out. Now we're trying to hold the 21 still strong bull, so that's also an interesting setup.
and the EMAs are coming together. Not still clean-ish on the 5 minute. We've got just 5 minutes until the market opens, and we're doing just a little bit of consolidation on the 5 minute right now. So I'm watching that. So given where we're at here, right around the 21 EMA strong bull, I'm still considering kind of a 200 share starter position just to see what this might do. VRCT now up into the 550s, which means this may do something here leading into the market open. The MOVE, I do like the shape of these EMAs more on MOVE right now, kind of these upward trending moving averages. And we've got 3 minutes left on the current 5 minute candle. I'm going to take an entry there if it'll fill. I have that in at 1983. That order is just 200 shares at 1983. So we're strong bull on the histogram here. I've got that order, the 21 EMA is 1976, so that filled. I'm in at 1981. And now we're going to look through this push back up. So thus far, I'm making a move back up through 20 here. We'll see if this holds. We do have strong bull on the histogram. However, at this point, our MACD is still closed, so we don't really have confirmation of this move just yet. I'm in at 1981. I haven't added yet. I'll add in a little smaller size. Normally, I just use my hotkey, which does a 500 share add, but I'll be more inclined to add just with 200 shares to keep that cost average. So I put in an order to add there. We'll see if that fills. Actually, that I accidentally clicked sell, so I'm glad that didn't go through. I'm going to go ahead and click a buy order to add. So I added there. That filled at 2040. So now my average cost is 2011, and I'm watching for this curl up as we come in the market open. So average cost right now, 2011. That's right where the bid's at. 2010 on the bid now. We've got 41 seconds here until the market opens. Okay, so right now we're 2036. So that $20 level is holding. I have 400 shares, so if we hit, okay, so now we got market open, a little bit of pop here up to 2072. Watching to see there's 21, there's 22, awesome, great extension there up to 22, 2210. I'm gonna take half off there, so I got half out at 2169. Just watching to see our limit up's 2215, so it came right up to that halt level. So really nice move there. Let's see if this will halt up. I've got just 200 shares. There's 21, 2243, 2374 is now the halt level. Really nice strong move here. Or 2222. I'm gonna take a little more off there if it'll fill at 2222. So now we're pulling back a little more, back down to 2170. So I've got that limit order at 2222. I want to see if that'll test that 22. And my average cost is definitely low, clear down at 2040. So I can give this some room, which is nice. There's 2222, so that filled half there. Got that on that little tail out. And now I'm watching just to see if I can hold this next 150 shares. If we'll stay above pre-market high, we're strong bull on the TTM. This still looks really nice. We are extended up off of the 8 EMA here, but that's a nice push up to 2233. So just watching here. I'm still up. I'm now up $1.84 a share on my unrealized gains. So TTM, MACD is now open. This looks pretty good on the confirmation. Looks like we're trying to, we're staying above the pre-market high, which is great. We're 22, still trying to hold that $22 level here. And this is a nice breakout on the 5 minute. Let's see where this goes from here. If we break below 21, if we break below that pre-market high, I'll assume I exit there. I'm not opposed to taking another half off up here around 22. So there's 21.99. I'm going to put in half off order there at 21.99. We'll see if that fills. That's 21.93.83. So just watching to see if that 21.99 order will fill. There's 21.99 that filled. Okay, there's 22. Now I've got, so I took a quarter off there. So I've got 113 shares left. That was a sell of 37 shares. There's a nice push, 22.71. See if we can break that high. Okay, kind of a double top coming in there. So I'm going to take another quarter off, which I just did. Now I have 85 shares left. Okay, there's a push to 23. So I still have 85 shares. I'm up 260 a share now. Let's see if this pushes to 23.98 and could give us a halt. I'm going to move the chart down and see if I can see where that next daily was that we drew earlier. Next daily level is 24.30. So histogram still looks really good. I'm going to just keep holding this last 85 shares. I feel comfortable with my exits where I took them. Larger topping tail there. You can see that coming in. Not a great sign. Now back to 22.30. I'm going to put in a limit order at 22.50 for the remainder of my position. So we'll roll that to, sorry, I'm going to put that limit order, yeah, 22.60, probably 22.50 is where I'm going to put it. I'm going to put that at 22.50. That'll be the remainder of my position. So I'm going to push that to sell. What I'm looking to see is, can we get kind of a retest of this? This larger topping tail doesn't look great. But I'm going to put that in at 22.50 and see if we hold this 8. There's 21.74. I don't want to see us break the pre-market high at all. If we look like we're going to break that, I'm definitely going to bail. But I do have this limit order up at 22.50. 5 minute candle still looks good, other than we're getting the topping tail. The topping tail is occurring because of this 1 minute topping tail. And so I'm watching to see, can we pop back up above 22? So again, I have my limit order at 22.50 to sell my last 85 shares here. I wanted to see, will we be fortunate enough to get a nice push up to 22.50 on one of these candles that recovers. That's something I've been pushing myself to do more now. There was a drop below the pre-market high. My average is 20.40. So I don't want to break even on, or I'm okay to break even. So I took the rest off there. Okay. So took the rest off. You can see that exit 20.81. and now we've way pulled back, right? I'm actually surprised we haven't limited down yet, but the limit down is 1981. So wow, what a really nice move. That was an entry around the 20s. You can see my buy order was there at 2040, and my first buy was at 1981. I accidentally hit a sell order for 200. I'm glad I didn't feel I canceled that. I had that sell order up at 2040, and the stock was only trading at 2020, so I didn't get sold out. So then I added at 2040, and you can see those sells: 2169, 2223, 2199, 2230, and then I assumed break even at worst case scenario on those last 85 shares. When we lost the pre-market high, I had a limit order in at 2250 to sell them, which was up here. But as we lost that pre-market high, then I took my exit there at 2081. My average cost at that point was 2040, so still locked in a little bit on those final 85 shares. So something that's interesting here, we are holding the 21 EMA. We're in a low compression squeeze, but we're holding the 21 EMA, trying to recover this pre-market high. I'm not a fan of this big topping tail right here, and I don't know if I'm going to trade this again. Really nice day for me, $1,256 to the positive, and this may push up off this 21 EMA at 2072, and we may get that curl back up. If this curls back up to 22 and then consolidates a little bit, you could have a short squeeze that would be reasonable up into the 24s. Okay. So this is looking really good. So you can now see we're recovering this topping tail. Again, I'm not in. Wow, look at that, all the way to 2390. What a great move. Still strong bull on the TTM, kind of pulling back off that 2350 high, but this is still proving you right here if you're in. So a little bit of a tail there at 2350. I wouldn't fault anybody for taking another position off right there, as we kind of lose that. So probably worth taking some off. You got to be quick on these. You could do a sell market for 25 shares if that's what you've got. That pulled back down through 2350, so there's quite a bit of selling there. So you could do, a portion off, 25 shares sell market. You could take a little bit more off and then just assume break even on the rest, and that would be fine. This did put in a new high of day, but you can see how it pulled right back off the high of day. So when these hit high of day, and if they've got a lot of momentum, you'll see it just rip higher. Multiple candles in a row, you'll get a lot of really clean momentum. But the fact this hit a high of day and then immediately pulled back down is a little bit of what we call a false high of day breakout, where you just don't get that continuation. So I would be assuming break even at worst case scenario on any remaining shares here. I would move my stop loss to break even and be out. It does look like it might hold the 8 EMA, but you want to just protect yourself depending on your entry. Ideally, you got some out on that pop up to 2390 and some out in the 22s just to lock in some profits. And if you're still holding some shares, then good. You've got an opportunity. If your stop loss hasn't been hit, you've got an opportunity to see if this will hold with the 8 EMA holding and a little bit larger bullish histogram. MACD is still open here, so that's also another interesting component. I'm not in. I'm just watching here. Pretty well locked in my day for the day. But this does look like it's trying to hold the 8. Okay, so I'm going to call it a day there. I've just been watching MOVE here, and as you can see, once we hit that kind of that false high of day breakout, so we hit the breakout and then immediately pull back. This sideways consolidation, depending on what your average cost is fine. We kind of consolidated right here along 22 as the low, but then as you lost that 8 EMA, that definitely would have been my signal to be out. If I lose the 8, I don't want to stay in and see if this is going to pull back further. Again, assuming break even probably on the second half of my position. I didn't take this trade at all, so I didn't have to worry about that. But once you lost the 8, you tried to hold the 21. Once it lost the 21, and just almost immediately into halt down. So hopefully you didn't get stuck in that if you were trading this live. That is a nasty position, obviously, to be in. And I think that this gave some really great moves. We had some great opportunity on it in the pre-market. Once this popped back up and these EMAs lined out, we had multiple instances where, we hold the 21 and get a move higher, little pullback, another push higher. This one you had to be a little bit more patient with. I was watching through here to see if we'd get this histogram flip, and we did, and I was able to take some profits. And then as this came back up through, that's where I started taking entries again. So I'll show you this last entry here just on my position window. So as we look at coming into the market open, that would have been this 9:23 time frame and then 9:26 right here. So at 9:26 and 51 seconds, that was this candle. That's when I took my first entry, and that was at 1980. Excuse me, that was at 1981. So on the 9:26 candle right here at 1981, I took my entry. That's right along the 21 EMA. We were strong bull on the histogram. MACD was closed, so I didn't have a ton of confirmation there yet. But I took a 200 share starter position there at 1981. You can see over on my position on my trading monitor. And then this was an accidental sell order that I put out at 2040. Now, fortunately, the stock was still trading at about 2020. I was able to cancel that really quick. And then I added at 2040 on the 928 candle. So that's this one. So I added at 2040, which was up near the top. We then consolidated sideways, and I took my first exit at 2169 on the 930 candle. So right up here at 2169, I was out my first half position. So I took half off there, and then we got that nice push up above 22. You can see my final exits. So 200 shares off at 2169, 50 shares off 2223, 37 shares off at 2199, another 28 shares off at 2230, and then I assumed break even on these last 85 shares, and those sold on the 935 candle. So the 935 candle is this deep red one right here. I was looking for us to hold the pre-market high. We didn't. My average cost was 2040, and so then as this broke back below, I took my exit and it filled me at 2081. Now, again, one could argue, well, you held the 21 and you could have gotten back in, and that's true. I just know that for me, I'm really, really trying to stay focused on this initial press up. If I had maybe a lower average cost, like let's say my average cost was down here around 20, then I probably would have been more inclined to hold this with the way this candle reacted, just because the low of it is 2020. My average cost was 20. So if my break even on those final 85 shares was 20, then possibly I would have been interested, and I actually could have potentially taken an add back at 21.29. and I probably would have only done 100 shares, maybe 200 at most for the add back. That would have pulled my average cost somewhere up into the high 20s, and then I could have assumed a break even on that position. But that's not the trade that I made, and I'm fine with that. This ended up being a really nice day, up $1,256.38. Let me open up my recap for the week. I'll do a full recap later. It'll probably be tomorrow so that this posts on my performance metrics. But you can see that January has just been absolutely phenomenal. I'll add another $1,250 right here, which today is the 23rd. Not that I'll add, the system will update this. These automatically pull in from the trading simulator. But this will pull in once this posts toward the end of the day, $1,250. So that'll be a $5,100 week on this short week. That'll put me up $1,250 up here on my total for January. So I'll be up 17,000, roughly 17,000. What does that end up being? $1,250. Just over 17,000, about $17,600, roughly $700 in that ballpark. So just over 17,000 on the month, which is great. Really strong month. We still have the last trading week of the month, and I'm looking forward to that. But overall, it's been a phenomenal January. The market's been really hot. We've had multiple stocks up 100% each day for pretty much the last week and a half at this point, which has been great. It's given us a lot of good opportunities. So I hope you had great opportunities today on MOVE or the other stocks you traded. Thanks for joining me for this live trading session. I'll post the abbreviated recap, and then the full trading session will be accelerated as per normal. Hope you enjoy your wonderful weekend and get some rest and relaxation. We'll catch you all on Monday.